Okay, so I'm going to talk about internet security today, and we've all heard it before, but let's try it my way. And so, they always ask you to do these passwords with 8 characters, and you've got to have special characters and all that. And this poor guy can't figure out why Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs is not recognized as 8 characters. So, anyway. All right. Why do we care about internet security? The plus reasons are, well, I've got nothing to hide. I never go to shady websites. And my bank uses HTTPS for secure transactions. So, why do I care? Okay, fair enough. I remember in 1965 or so, my dad got a car with seat belts in it. And I'd tell people, put the seat belt on, nobody would. They'd say, why do I care? You're not going to have a wreck. And I had a header out here on 79, and the person with me went into the windshield, and I stayed in my seat. So, it's like a seat belt. Sure, you can go without it, but don't call me when you take a dump. Okay. The results are, all your files could end up encrypted and unavailable to you if you get one of those ransomwares. Or your friends receive bogus info from you through email. They can now spoof the email address and the subject line. They will take the subject line from emails that are related to searches you have made. So if you search Amazon for a router, and suddenly your friends get a message saying that it's from Ken, and he wants to talk about that router that you guys were discussing. It sounds legit. You open it up, and there's a link for a router, and you click it, and now you're right back into the unencrypted or the encrypted email, and you're stuck. So, and the watchers know you're not home. Now, this is a little far-fetched and out there, but we all know that if you have a death in the family and they post the funeral hours, that the house is liable to become burglarized. We've all heard of that, haven't we? Okay. So if somebody is using one of your apps on your phone or on your netbook, on your laptop, and you're at a public place, they can get enough information to now track you, and if you're a high-value target, you could end up being a target. I admit, it's far-fetched, but it's not at all unreasonable that this could happen. And feel free to jump in and ask me a question anytime you want to. Okay, tracking your movements across the web. Facebook keeps a running log of your movements across a vast number of websites for 90 days, whether you are logged into Facebook or not. And it's because your browser knows the cookies for Facebook because you signed into Facebook at some point. You go to a website and it polls your web browser and says, do you know Facebook login for this person? And your browser responds, yep, I know. And so they get to follow you. And this is quick. Okay. The Facebook company said that this was to help maintain and improve service to the customers and to protect both you and Facebook from malicious activity. Well,
They lied.
and this is just more of that example, but Chrome extension Marauders Map, it was a downloadable app. You go to the Play Store and download Marauders Map and put in their Facebook information of your friend or your ex-wife, your ex-husband, or whoever that's on Facebook. And this Marauders Map would post it on your web page on a map showing where that individual was. And I put the link here If you go to the link, it now says Facebook has changed their code and this no longer works. Well, that's good. Facebook changed the code, the Marauders map doesn't work. But the second comment there, doesn't work bad? How do we know it doesn't work? That hacker built it in the first place. Facebook modified, why couldn't he modify to pick it back up? And if he didn't, we know that there are other people out there that build these apps that can do things. So, the constant effort of hackers continues. Just beware. We're sitting in here with our Twitter accounts, our Facebooks. We post when we're in restaurants saying we're here and eating this food and great. Gmail, Twitter, Skype. They all track you. They all know where you are if your phone has location turned on. If you turn off location, your maps won't work. If you use the program called Waze for driving directions, it won't work without locations on. Heck, the cell towers alone have you cornered. If you had nothing else, if you had an old flip phone that can use 3 cell towers and place you within about 50 feet of where you're actually at. So, you're screwed.
Okay, it's on the downside now.
Yep. So, we are being followed. There's shadows behind us, and we still have a few things we can do to protect our most important information. So, the one choice you have is just don't worry about it. I know a couple of my buddies say, I don't care, I'm going to use these apps, and if I get nailed and my bank account gets drained, the bank will put it back after a few months. Well, that's okay, but I don't like the stress and strain of all that. So if you are worried, turn off Facebook, Twitter, etc. when you're on public Wi-Fi. Ours is private here, and we're relatively safe in this building, LCCS Ohio. It requires a password. It's a simple setup, and maybe some people outside know it, but they're probably not bright enough to hack it. But if you're at McDonald's, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, why do they want to do that? What's at their business where we're at and where we're going?
They make money off of it.
Is that what it is, advertising?
Right. If you're tracking, and 10 million people is not a small number. It's not a large number for people dealing in data. But if you're tracking 10 million people and you see 700,000 of them in Kroger on a specific day that are not usually there, then you know the Kroger sale ad worked. And that's worth money to Kroger to know that. Or if you've done it before, if Kroger has done it before and had 700,000 extras, and this time they only got 100,000 extras, they know they had the wrong product out there.
So that's how they make their money.
Yeah, these people sell the information that they track us from tracking us.
Leave your phone in the car then.
Well, they still know you're in the Kroger parking lot.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. So if you're in McDonald's or any of those places that want you to sign, Bob Evans, they want you to sign in through their website. They know exactly where you go when you're on their internet there. They know if you look up some product on Amazon. They know if you're looking up a trip to Charleston, looking for hotels in Charleston, and they sell that information too. So there's a phrase that if the product is free, you are the product. So all these programs that we get free, Twitter, Facebook, etc., We are what they're selling to make money for them. Gains us nothing. Now, some of my buddies will say, well, but Amazon offers me things that I probably want now. Well, if I didn't know I needed them, I'm not sure why Amazon should offer them to me, but I guess it sells things. Okay, so if you're in a public place where you have to log in or not, the guy sitting next to you could have a laptop or cell phone, netbook, monitoring the local internet. I could take this computer right now and with a couple of simple commands tell you every device that's plugged in here and find out what website it's going to. It's no big challenge. A 12-year-old can do it. So, yes, Laura.
I didn't mean to interrupt that sentence. Does that same thing happen if you're on your phone on 4G, as opposed, so you're not connected to someone else's Wi-Fi?
So her question is, if you're on 4G and not Wi-Fi, are you still exposed that way? Not to anybody local, no. You're exposed to your phone company. They sell your data. You're exposed at the other end to a website that you might go to. They know what you're looking at and what you're after. So it reduces exposure, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Dave?
Yeah, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but I wouldn't use, nowadays I wouldn't use Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, because even if I have let's say a tablet, computer, or a laptop with me, and I want to get on the internet, I can use my smartphone as a Wi-Fi hotspot, so I can enable my own phone
Yes.
to do that, and I don't have to use the public Wi-Fi if I want to get internet access, with a tablet or laptop.
That's true. David's point is that he can use his phone as a hotspot, which means his information is coming from the tower to the phone and giving a local connection to his personal devices. That's one way. There's another called USB tethering. You can plug a USB cable from your phone into your laptop, say this laptop, and tether them, and the same thing happens. The phone becomes a server so that it comes out of the laptop through your phone to a tower. John?
I think the question though, isn't that going to be an added expense?
Yeah, your data plan can build up pretty quick. If you play a YouTube movie through your phone, your data plan probably just got shot in the head. So it's true that it increases security, but it's also true that it's going to be expensive. Laura?
What about, say for instance, you're staying at a hotel or you've got a condo for a week or something and they give you their password. Is that a little bit better because they really...
The hotel doesn't give a hoot. They're selling your data.
They're still selling data?
They're selling it.
Okay.
And everybody that's stayed there in the last 3 to 5 years has the same password, so they know if they've been a bad guy, if they worked there, if they've stayed there, they know what the password is.
Okay.
They can work that out. So I would not, okay, so that's leading up to where I'm going.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that. I don't think hotels are safe right now. My third comment is never use public Wi-Fi for banking or credit cards. If you're going to shop, it's okay to look things up. Sure, everybody in the world knows what you're shopping for. But if you don't put your credit card number in to buy something, then you've remained safe. It's just that everybody knows. There's another device called Tails. It can be run off of a CD disc or from a USB drive. And you plug it into the computer, whether it's a drive or a thumb drive, and boot from that device. You're not going to be using Windows, and it's not going to be a fast connection, but it'll be totally secure. And Tails bounces around the world 5 times before it comes back out into the internet. So if I connect from Tails, it might jump from here to Germany, then to the Netherlands, through South Africa, across to Brazil, and then back to England. Then it jumps back out on the internet in a public system and says this request is to Amazon to look at something. Through the whole time that it's jumping around, it's encrypted and it's passing through safe measures. And so the guys that are trying to capture you don't know where you end up. People like, what was his name that went to Russia?
Snowden?
Snowden, that dumped all the data to the internet. He used this Tails system, and the security services are saying that if you use Tails, we can't figure it out. Wayne?
I think you answered my question. The bouncing around is encrypting it. Is that
It
what
is
it
encrypted from point to point.
Okay.
The if point 1 sends to point 2, sends to point 3. Point 3 and point 1 know nothing about each other.
Okay.
And after 5 jumps, it gets lost.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am?
What about these, the square cards that people put on their phones, and like if you do business, say if you're a trade show or something, and you buy something there and you run your card through their little card on the phone, will that be safe or not?
That depends. So, at trade shows and such, they've got little slide devices for your credit card. Are they safe? Well, let's put it this way. In Las Vegas, they have a big show every year for all the techno geeks. They go out there and they try, and the whole show, as much as learning information on new devices, is how many devices here can I crack open? It's a game. And this year, Firefox and I want to say Amazon were the first 2 cracked open. So, if you're at a trade show and there's anybody there that wants to gather information, they'll get it. So you just have to know the vendor and take your chances in that case. If you buy something at a trade show, the vendor may or may not know he's safe. And even if he thinks he's safe, if he's been guaranteed he's safe, he may not be. They just don't know until your stuff's misused. So if your credit card covers the first $50, if you use it as a credit card and not a debit card, a credit card is, you're only liable for the first 50. So in your case, a vendor sliding my card is scary. If I can buy that product somewhere else at a reasonable cost, I would go somewhere else. Trade shows are notorious. All right, so Tails is one way to do online purchasing or bank checking your bank card, etc. If you're traveling, say, that's one way to do that. Another way is to use a VPN service. It's a virtual private network. The way it works, if I told this computer to go to my VPN, this computer would knock on the door and say, "Hey, VPN, let me in." VPN would say, just like the old speakeasies, he'd say, "Who are you? What's the password?" And my computer would respond with a password. The VPN would then say, "Okay, here is our encryption key. Use this from now on." And anything between those 2 devices is scrambled so badly that it can't be figured out. And so when I make a request with my bank card, etc., I am going from an encrypted place out there that nobody is able to track, and I make my purchase or check my bank. So I know these are hoops to jump through, but once you set up VPN on a computer, it's as simple as like this one. I came on the LCCS network, and then I went up to the network symbol on my computer, clicked it, and it's selected VPN connection, and then which connection I wanted, and it said okay, and it went through about a 15-20 second routine, and it got me all set up, and now I have a lock showing on my network connection. Now,
Is there a particular VPN client that you recommend?
We'll
We
get
just
there.
use one called Checkpoint. No, I don't know. That's pretty old up.
you use one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, back in corporate days.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Cisco is a big business one. But we'll get there in a minute. There are some major names.
Back in the 20s.
Earlier, 1820s.
Okay. Virtual private networks, the connection to them can be free or paid. Some have better privacy than others.
Yeah, is it for all, is it for like your laptop and your desktop and your iPhone or any of the phones you have or any of the,
Sure.
it works on all of them?
Yeah, VPN can be set up on Android, iPhone, laptop, netbook, tablets, laptops like this. My desktop at home is on one. VPNs can be set up on any device that requires network connection.
Is that like LastPass or?
No. It takes your network signal and actually scrambles it from your house out.
Okay.
David?
So we're talking about using a specific internet provider account with all these multiple devices.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about using different internet connections, but we're talking about one ISP connection that we have in our home, for example.
Right.
But we might be using a Windows computer or an Android device or whatever. Is that
Correct.
Okay.
His question is, I think, do I need a different VPN provider for each device? No, you don't. In most cases, right here we have OpenVPN Net. That's really the most common, the one you'll run into most. It is free. In the red text above there, this link here, this guy provides a chart of several hundred VPN providers, and he takes you through the reasoning of why he recommends one over the other. Some of the VPN providers, I'm sorry, let me get back to Dave's question. So OpenVPN will let you connect any kind of device. And some providers limit you to 3 devices for a certain amount of money. And if you want more devices than 3, then you pay more money. So it can be per device, it can be a group plan, or it can be free. Now again, if it's free, they may or may not have good privacy. And if you pay for it, and that company is located in a country, a geographic location that allows the government to demand the information about your account, then again, is that what you want? So if you're not in the habit of going to the dark web or anything like that, then you don't care if a government maybe sees your data if they think they require it for some kind of judicial reasoning. But so there are things to take into account in that website, the One Privacy site. He covers the stuff pretty good and explains what he's thinking. And he started out as just an ordinary guy building a spreadsheet for himself, so he can make the decision in a sensible manner. He passed it around to his buddies, and they said, "Hey, you should put this up on the internet. People need this. There's nothing like it." So he did. and he's updated it a few times. So I recommend this site as a reference. Okay. The most common free is openvpn.net, and there are, you just download a program, click on it, install it, and follow a couple other simple instructions to set up a good password, a good username, and you're ready to go. And a final site to visit, just for reference, is Consumer Reports Guide to Internet Safety. They can cover it much better than I can standing here and talking to you. And if you took an hour a week and read a security site, don't care which one, you're going to be much smarter and much safer. The government puts out bulletins, sometimes daily. It's kind of, I can pique your interest, and that's all I can do. It's up to the rest of you to go find what you need to know. And here's an example. It just so happened last week that we had a good example. Watch your email. Don't open email without looking at the email first. Sue received a message from the president at lccsohio.org. Now that should be Jim Amor, right?
Yep.
And it says it's from Jim Amor, right? Well, if you continue reading, it's propertyvaluers77@gmail.com. And so you have to look at all this information up there. The rest of the message was, "Hi Sue, how are you today? I'll need to initiate a bank wire transfer to a client. Let me know if you're available to do that, or available so that I can forward the beneficiary details ASAP. Regards, Jim Amor." That's something a president might send to a treasurer. Well, Sue read that, and then she said, "Wait a minute, I got to go back and look at this. That's not right." So then she yelled at me, "Hey, look what I found!" And then she found this property valuers, and so we told Jim about it, and we dropped the email. Mary Frances.
Point, many of these new people might not have Jim Amor's email address memorized. So looking at that, they would not know whether that was Jim Amor's address or not, where it says property values.
Yeah, that's true. However, if anything here looked suspicious, and I would think property valuers is suspicious, it may be a valid address, but for me,
well, I have to say, because I got the email, and when I looked at it, I saw President, and Jim and I had emailed back and forth, obviously, but I looked at it and I thought, oh, property value 77, okay, I have several email addresses, Ken has several, and I thought, gee, maybe Jim sent to property rentals. Maybe, so I looked at that and thought, that's not the email I know. And then I read, of course, want to transfer money to a client. We don't have clients. First of all, I'm not going to give anybody any money unless you give me a bill. But so what Mary Frances is pointing out, the email itself, the address may not mean anything, but anything that is not something you're familiar with should caution you to just stop a minute. And luckily, in this particular instance, there was no link they're asking me to click on. But if I had responded, then they have more information, and
they would end up with an email address that they know is active,
right,
and they can sell that. They might gather 10,000 of these addresses that are guaranteed active, and they can sell that to a spammer, saying, I got 10,000 that responded in the last 10 days, and then the guy's not wasting his money if he wants to spam them. Mary Frances?
Excuse me for interrupting one more time, but I got 4 emails week before last from different ones of you, and it appeared to be. And when I opened where you could read the subject of the reading part of your email, it said, if you cannot view this message, click here.
That's one of the favorite ones.
And of course, you never, if some of you guys are newer, never ever do that.
I never click a link in an email.
And in each case, I did write to those people a regular email to them and say, or one of them I called on the phone, did you just send me an email? No.
That's the proper response. If anything looks shady,
Don't.
just leave it set or dump it and call the person or email separately to the person that supposedly got a hold of you and ask them, did you send me something about clients or what? So, always err on the side of caution. My theory is, there's nobody going to send me an email that's going to cost me money immediately or to save someone's life. That's just not going to happen. So if it looks bogus, I throw it away, and I figure they'll contact me again if they don't get a response of some kind. David?
Yeah, you're on your slide there, where the property values at 77@gmail.com is showing. That didn't appear at first, did it, when you opened the email?
Yes.
You did?
Mhm.
Okay, because a lot of times when email
Right.
comes through,
It
all you
doesn't
would see would be Jim Amor.
Right.
The email address is hidden.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you hover your mouse over Jim Amor, it'll appear, a little box will pop up, shows the email address.
Good explanation, Dave. In our case, we use Thunderbird, and Thunderbird is an email client that reads my email off of a server and presents it to me differently than your browser would. But Thunderbird said they already think it's junk mail and gives you the chance to learn more or mark it as not junk. So Thunderbird flagged it and showed us the address. Dave's right. A lot of times you don't see after Jim Amor unless you rest your mouse on his name or do something else to expose what the actual email address was.
Another thing about the clicking on it, somebody got an email that was something that I didn't recognize. It was supposed to be some kind of a newsletter or whatever, and it just didn't look right. And there was an unsubscribe button. I said, don't click on that. If you do, that's going to guarantee, that's going to verify that that's a working email address. I said, just dump it.
That's exactly right. If in doubt, just throw it away. Okay. Oh, that's the end of the talk today. You guys are in luck. I'm going to turn the lights on. So, any other questions?
I didn't know if you had decided for us to ask questions as you went, or wait until after. So, sorry if we ran you any longer than necessary.
No. I tried to keep it shorter than last month.
That's why I came in. There was a question that was asked earlier about recommendations for some of the VPNs besides the Open VPN.
Yes.
You have one that's better if you have to put a little cash with it.
Well, it depends. How much do you want to spend? You want it for free. So those are the first two choices that some of us might have. And this website here lets you know, and you can select by do I want to pay or free, how many devices do I want. They let you sort all that out and you can root through it. So I hesitate to recommend, other than if you want to get your feet wet and get started for free, OpenVPN, I don't have any problem recommending that, as long as you understand it's not going to protect you if you go on the dark web or something like that. Wayne?
The other day I got an email from Spectrum, and I'm reasonably sure it was from Spectrum. And when I opened it, it didn't open completely. And then there was a little thing there in the middle of it that said if this link didn't open properly or whatever, click here. So are you saying I shouldn't have done that? Because when I clicked there, it opened the email properly, and I saw exactly what it was that they were sending me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looked legitimate, it seemed to be legitimate. So are you saying don't ever do that? Or take your chances when you do?
Yeah. I have about 3 sites that I will open email from carte blanche. That one I probably would have thrown away because I don't care about Spectrum. I don't figure they're going to give me anything. They want things from me. So I would have thrown it away.
Okay.
Sue handles our bills. So again, I would say to her, I got something from Spectrum. Do you want to see it? And she can make her own choices. But I throw a lot of email away.
Okay.
If I don't have a reason to expect something from them, I just assume they're after something that I've got. John?
It might be that on that kind of an email, having to close it and open it up a couple times because it's coming across the internet, and maybe that's why it didn't come complete. But I agree with your talk about looking to see for sure who it's from. Go to the details and see if it's really Spectrum or not.
Okay.
There's another, I didn't make a slide up for it, but you can look at the source. If you go through your menus on your email handler, you can look at source, and it actually puts out a text document that shows all of the code, etc., and you have to sort through it. But you can figure out where it actually came from. And if you're that interested in what they're doing, then God bless you, read the code.
Okay.
Yeah. But look,
You just trash them or you mark them spam at that time?
I trash them the first time. If I get a couple, 2 or 3, and I recognize that these are coming and it's something I'm familiar with or have seen, I begin to mark them as spam, and Thunderbird, after a few times of that, will automatically send them to my junk. So I do recommend marking things as spam if they are spam for you. Yes, ma'am.
Can you paste that slide down? I didn't quite get all that information down about the consumer reports.
Yes. Now I'm going to post this on the our website, and you'll be able to download the whole thing.
In the forum.
Forum. Yes, thanks.
Take a picture of that if you want it right now.
Yeah, you can do that. So, yeah.
Give you the information.
Al?
You mentioned a good point early on about Facebook tracking your location. It surprises me how many of my friends, they can be over in Scotland. Hey, we are here now. Great, come empty my house. So I just do it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when I was little, my grandfather used to hold me, he said, remember, son, as you go through life, 3 things: lie, steal, and cheat. So I did. On Facebook,
Yep.
you have to, when you sign up, give a location and your birth date. So I lie, and they give you a list, so I picked someplace in Germany. And my birthday, I put like 1937, which is like way off.
That's not that far.
Maybe it was 1970, well, whatever.
That's why I can't find you and be a friend of yours.
Yeah, because I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and see,
But you don't put real information on any of those social media sites.
Right. Like,
Will Consumer Reports give you the information if you're not a paying member of Consumer Reports?
this site will give you some, but they expect you to join.
Okay.
You can go down to the library, and they have either the hard copy, or I believe their computers will let you through to see everything if you're not a Consumer Reports payee.
Okay.
John?
I'll say, commenting on Al, I had somebody I was working with wondered why people couldn't find her. Well, it turned out she used a fictitious name. But if you're going to use social media like Facebook, the whole purpose is to connect with people. So if you're giving fictitious stuff, then what's the purpose of you being on Facebook?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you.
Because you can chat with them and talk about other information that has nothing to do with your location, you know, and your hobbies and that kind of stuff.
Well, what if they want to talk to you because of your hobbies?
Well, they use chat.
Or they can call me or come to my house.
I think maybe what Will's getting at is, anybody wants to do a search on you.
Right, you can't search
They're
it.
not going to get successful if you're putting in false information.
Oh, they will, yeah, I use my real name, but that's about it. My high school buddies know who I am.
I've searched by name sometimes and found a lot of people with the same name.
Yeah.
So you've got to have location too, to help you
Well,
find.
you get the page, that's true, yeah.
I'm beginning to feel bad because nobody's knocked on my front door and said, hey, dumb butt, how come you're not, I can't find you on the internet? So I don't think they have anything that important to say to me.
I don't think there's anything important on Facebook anyway.
Oh,
Now, as far as Spectrum is concerned, I get enough email, not email, I get enough paper mail, through the mail from Spectrum.
yeah,
Unless they know you personally, I don't know why they would send you an email, unless you get a contract with them.
that's a good point. That may be valid.
That's the only reason I would know they would send you an email.
Or if you've checked that or allowed an email through correspondence at some
Well,
point,
you can do that.
through, even if you've upgraded or whatever, you say, can we contact you by email, you may have
So
said
then you
yes.
would get that. Yeah.
Right, or any kind of correspondence, sometimes they'll have that in there,
Yeah, maybe
because they would rather not send emails.
I think they were sending me an email telling me what movies were coming up for the month or something.
I get it all the time, I'm back.
You got something, John?
Spectrum did send out their new lineup of TV shows because they're dropping channels and stuff, so that email did come out.
You guys had enough yet?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Just as soon as they have enough, I want some.
Go ahead, Mary Frances.
While you have command of the podium, the speaker and so forth, I think that we should all thank for the refreshments and everything that you have provided for you today, which I hope that you enjoyed, and we should personally thank the Bixlers, the Amors, and the Growers for what is provided for you today. And you should thank Snyder's and Roush's for the decorations.
They don't leave too many left, do they?